Our speaker builds some of the most successful companies in America. He's contributed to 20 personal startups over his 25 years, with 19 of them still in business, and that says a lot. His current projects include Mcquillan Brothers, T&J Construction, AT3, EvolvHealth, RSDN Properties, and RPG Coffee. He's an Eagle Scout. He's named 2 mountains in the Himalayas. He survived a parachute not opening. I'd like to hear that story. And he was crushed in a car accident. And amazingly, is still really good looking despite all that. He's been married for 24 years. He has 3 children that are 23, 22, and 20, and he's even a grandpa, but doesn't even look like one. Have a big warm welcome to Nathan France, everyone.
Well, that's a lot. You know, every time you get introduced that way, you kind of turn around and go, hey, I'd like to meet that person. That sounds like it's outstanding. The jokes won't get any better, so you might as well start laughing now. And then I'm an Eagle Scout, so you have to believe everything I say is true. I'll keep the embellishment to a minimum because the stories are pretty cool. So let's have some fun tonight. Welcome to this event. I love this event because who doesn't love Travis Sims and the team that he has? So can we just edify those guys and clap for those guys a little bit? I love Travis so much because, as you guys know, in the business networking community, both Midwest, international, Travis is everywhere. And everything that he touches turns to gold. So I'm blessed not only to be his friend, but to collaborate with these guys in any way we can. Plus, I get to see Dustin in front, so he's looking outstanding as always. Good to see you, brother. So let's get into this thing. Now, normally, just so you know what's coming, I don't usually talk this fast. But this is a 3-day seminar that most people participate in at a very, very C-level or higher executive level. We're going to do it in 15 minutes. So if you're ready, say I'm ready. Ready. Now, should you miss something, guess what? It's okay. This is going to be recorded. You can go to ACG's website, acceleratedglobalconnections.com, and pick this up on the back end. So my outcome for you guys tonight is this. As we go through this data, one, we're going to have a lot of fun. Who likes fun? We're going to get to know each other a little bit. Some of you may be too much. But if you get easily offended, just blame it on me. It's always my fault anyway. And then here's the last part. That you pick up at least just one thing out of this. Whatever it is for you, and if all that is fun and we become best friends, BFFs on social media for the rest of our lives, right? Direct messaging for the rest of our lives, it'll be awesome. So with me, if you're ready for that, say aye. I love it. Got to test you guys because I didn't see a lot of caffeine going down. Make sure you got to hit Lois's table and get some of that caffeine going because half of you guys look like you need a nap. So let's have some fun. So look, we've already kind of hit the first one. Define your outcome. Look, most of the things we're doing, who knows what the word goals are? In 2019, thanks to Tony Robbins, you're going to hear this word called outcomes. Outcome is what you're actually going to decide what's going to happen. So we're going to start with the right people. We're going to define a process tonight. We're going to hit some core beliefs, some laws of business, and then some massive action. You guys ready for that? Yes. All right, let's get into it. So look, define your outcome. What do you want to have happen? So a lot of the things I've done in my life are just based on a lot of these quirky notions that it's possible. So who here remembers the movie Hannibal? Yeah. In the movie Hannibal, there's Russian boars that actually eat meat. Remember when he pushes the guy? Gary Oldman into the pit with the boars and they eat him. I was talking to my friend Levi a few years ago and I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool to do that? Not get eaten, but experience that. So Levi set up a cage for us, 200-acre game preserve, high fence with Russian boars, and you go in there and they eat meat. And you go toe to toe. So when you strike them, they don't run. When a gun goes off, they attack. So this is like, if you watch Levi's video on YouTube, it's like intense. Now, of course, Levi put some like heavy metal music to it and all this stuff. So that's where that came from. Tony Robbins' Fiji mansion. Wouldn't it be cool to go see Tony Robbins' mansion? 7 beautiful miles of beach. Nady, it's one of the top resorts in the world. Wouldn't that be great to swim in Tony Robbins' waterfall? We're at an event like this with Vince Vicente. If you don't know Vince, you'd know him because he's in the Hall of Fame. He went in with Ronald Reagan and Zig Ziglar. I became friends with Vince because I sat in an event like this. Vince talked about naming mountains in the Himalayas in a range that just opened up to the world because China, Pakistan, and India are at war together, right? So they're like, nobody gets in there. You'll die if you go in there, right? One of the 3 countries will blow you up or execute you for going in there. So hey, this just opened up. Wouldn't it be cool to go through there? What does that look like? He's, well, the trek that just went out, only 6 people died on that trek. So I'm like, well, that sounds like something I would do. Great white shark dives, right? So a lot of this stuff, just starting with an outcome. What am I trying to have happen? In a way, we call it the business of life. So getting clarity, getting crystal clear. If you want a book for 2019, that will help you get crystal clear. It's done by one of my great friends, Tony Geary. You'd know Tony Geary from Ford Motor Company. Just helped USANA go from about 40 million to 2 billion with a B. His book, Strategic Acceleration, is one of the best books of all time on clarity. So let's talk about clarity. So who's this guy, Nathan France? Because we talked about not only outcomes, guys, but we talked about starting with the right person. Now here's what's quirky. I'm probably not the right person for you. The reason that I'm a grandpa already, right, is because I decide what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. So when I set an outcome, guys, I don't change it. I just change the strategy. I change the approach. The outcome doesn't change. These things are going to happen. So where does a person come from? Well, as early as I can remember, I've got a philosophy that unless God wants me dead, I can't be killed. Now that also comes from some proof, right? We like to prove things. So if your parachute doesn't open and you don't die, if you're hit by a dairy farmer head-on in a 1-ton going 60 miles an hour and you're not dead, right? You start to formulate these things like, okay, I obviously can't be killed. So you can laugh at these things. I wouldn't be poor. I've got 13 brothers and sisters, 10 are adopted from China and South Korea. So our family grew up very, very limited means. So I remember being about 10, 12 years old and being made fun of because of the clothes I had on. Not because they were bad. I mean, there's patches on the clothes, right? 13 brothers and sisters kind of thing. So at that time in my life, I wasn't just thankful I had clothes, right? I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be poor in any of these areas of my life. And that isn't just finances. That's family. That's spiritual, right? That's ethics. That's morality. I wasn't going to be poor in any of these areas of my life. And of course, my favorite one is when I meet my maker, I wasn't going to be judged for all the stupid things I'm going to do in your life. Because guess what? You're just programmed that way. You're a person just like everybody else. Progress over perfection. But here's what's interesting. How many of you have ever regretted something stupid you've done? Raise your hand. If you want to know what that feels like, go visit a nursing home and ask anybody in a nursing home what they regret more, the stupid things they did or the things they didn't do. Right? So that one for me really hit home. That's why I love doing life and I love playing to win. So where does this come from? We talked about it. I've been stuck in an underwater cave. We've had whitewater rafting where literally a person in our group, they did die on that trip. Winter hunting, I lost part of a toe. 100-mile trek through the Himalayas that wasn't supposed to be able to be done. We've walked on hot coals, 1,400 to 2,000 degrees 3 times. We've just done these things, so I've got data of why I can't be killed. Now, it doesn't mean you have to attempt that tonight. So belief window, though. I don't want to be poor in any of these areas. Do you? No. So your purpose, your finances, your spiritual life, right? The real secret to living is actually giving. It's not taking. The right person belief window. How about you just start having a strategy that you say yes till you have to say no? See, it's okay to say no, too, right? But social business. A lot of the companies were started in the last 3 years, they're social businesses. Purpose of business, right, Josh, to make money. Purpose of social business is to do well by doing good. So doing well isn't actually is the byproduct of doing well. It's kind of quirky, right? But it's social business. So what are we into right now in all these startups? We're into cannabinoids. We're into adult stem cells, storm damage, real estate, HVAC, plumbing, gutters, luggage, security, structured silver, professional athletics, property management. The list goes on and because why say no when it feels so good in business to say yes? But if it's important to you, look, you're going to find a way to do it. That's just the reality. Dave, if it's not, I found you normally will make an excuse. So for me, that's something. It's not that I've lived a perfect life. It's the pot calling the kettle black. But I found when I don't want to execute on it, that's when I start making excuses. If it's important, you'll find the way. If it's not, you'll make an excuse. 1% doubt if you're out, and you're out. If you want results faster, I guess let's equate it to marriage. What if you said to your significant other, you said this. You said, look, I'm going to be, for the next 100 days, I'm going to be 99% on. Josh, there's going to be one day I get to do what I want, right? Tear it up. Ladies, would you like a relationship like that? You go like this. No, why would I want a relationship like that? Here's the quirky part. then why would you do it anywhere else, right? Because how you do anything is typically how you do everything. So one day out of the month, I'm not gonna be on point. One day out of the month, I'm just not gonna have my values, right? You wouldn't do that in the relationship, well, why would you do it anywhere else? So starting with the right people, here's an example. That good-looking dude right there, that's my oldest son. So when you're gonna plan a trek, a 100-mile sprint through the Himalayas with a ruck on, and name 2 mountains that the last group went out, 6 people died on that trek, you have to start with the right people or most likely you'll die too. How many of us in business start with the wrong people, right? So when you're taking a look at that sheet, you know, if you're taking notes and kind of follow along here, here'd be an example. Let's start with you. Are you the right person? Matter of fact, in your business, are you the type of person that you would go recruit? Right? A lot of us look in the mirror and go, you know what? I got to fire that person. But matter of fact, you can do a little cute little spin and go, that's the person I'm looking for, and now you can get back to executing. But if you're taking notes, look, you've got 3 people in your life that are the right people. Who are those people? Who are people you should be spending more time with? I mean, look at that animal right there. Freaking curling, what is that?
1,000 pounds.
It's at least 1,000 pounds, easily. My buddy Chris Capizzoli, Dave Skinner's back there, one of my best friends. Chris is an incredible athlete. Vince Vicente, who puts these Himalayan treks together, he's an Olympian. So if you start with the right people and you begin to eliminate or at least inoculate yourself from the wrong people, life gets pretty good and it gets pretty good and it gets a lot easier for you. How about your friends? You guys see in my social media when I hold up the 5. If you start with the 5 right people in your life, man, does business get easy. So the business of life has a process. Defining your process can be pretty simple. Josh, in everything people do, what they miss is when you watch the twins warm up, there's a process. You watch people go through and design a grocery store, there's a process. Because what they're looking to have happen is a ratio to appear. You know, the phone rings 100 times, that gets 10 people in the door, it gets 1 sale, right? That ratio begins to set up. In business, typically we call it the prepare step, then there's the greeting, there's a warm, a story, an opening, a follow-up, and massive action. It's okay to not have a process, but after today, it's no longer okay, right? You have to have a process or the ratio will never appear. You'll do it differently every time. And what's the definition of insanity? That's right, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen. So look, if my story isn't working, I'm crushing it everywhere else in my sales process. But look, I'm leaving out my story. I'm violating in the prepare step the law of the first impression. Right? If I'm coming to meet with Josh, he always looks fantastic. I mean, look at those pants. Dude, he looks fantastic. Law of the first impression. Now, if I'm coming to hang out with Dustin, who's always tan, right? It's good to show up like I've been to Mexico a dozen times in the last couple of weeks. So business of life should have some core beliefs. Even guys who build amazing teams, you'll watch in their industry, they go, look, I remember this in the roofing industry in the 90s. If you were a roofer, it didn't matter if you made 7 figures, you were a roofer, that meant you were shady. Is that a belief problem? Yes. How about if you're a network marketer? You know, network marketing is going to do $200 billion in 2019 estimated. It's paying $200 million a day in commissions. Okay. Yet when you say Amway, what do people do? Amway ambush. Yet they're doing close to $1 billion a month. So people are crushing it. They go, yeah, I guess that sucks for you, not for me. But see, if you have a core belief problem in that industry, you see where you're going to struggle, right? How do you dial that in? You should know that you're a 7, 8, 9 out of 10 in your industry. How about your company? How about the profit? And again, that could be spiritual, that could be financial, that could be the give. What is the actual profit coming in? The people and the company. If you're a 0 to 1, 2, or 3, you're never going to pick up the phone, your team's never going to pick up the phone, you're never going to deliver the message effectively, and you're going to struggle at the business of life. You notice this can apply to everything. I remember after I got in my vicious car accident, by the way, it was like the 4th vehicle I had totaled. I remember hitting that intersection at night, because the guy who hit us fell asleep and hit us going 60. And the last thing I said to my wife was, I go, we're dead. That's all I remember saying. I woke up in the hospital a couple days later. I had a belief problem now in driving at night. Well, you're just never going to drive again? So I had to make that strategy shift. I had to get around people that were doing it and had moved past it. So business of life normally has some laws, and here's 7 of them from an amazing book from Ryan Chamberlain. Ryan's one of my best friends, best-selling author, and the book's called Now You Know because it's literally that simple. Law of the first impression. How about when you meet Travis Sims, does that guy give a first impression? Yes. I mean, I want to be like him when I grow up. Law of staying in control when I'm giving information. Law of the takeaway. How many of you have picked up on some of these laws I'm using during my presentation? Law of the big rocks. How many of us use most of our day and they get to the end of the day and you're going, hey man, what happened? Right? You're violating the law of the most important things, the MITs, law of the big rocks, law of expectations, the law of the 80-20 rule, and of course the law of urgency. Massive action. What is one massive action step you could take coming out of this event tonight? You're probably thinking of it. Look, is it just writing out your process? Fantastic. Is it getting a core belief figured out in your industry? Let's knock it out of the park. Are there laws of your business that aren't the same as mine? I bet they are, but I bet you if you read that book and you understood what those laws are, you'd stop violating those real quick because they're costing you money. And as a matter of fact, here's the last one. If you're looking at that last page like I am, what is one massive action step I'm willing to take? Look, you already know what it is. Travis kicked off this event tonight for AGC by asking a question. What is your goal for 2019 and share it with somebody? Matter of fact, I want you to change that word to outcome. Because most people don't get their goals. They just don't. Because they're not clear, they're not focused, and they're not executing. An outcome to me is, look, if I said to you guys, I've got at the airport through Gandhi Wong's company, right? He's got a private jet waiting for us. 2 weeks in Hawaii, I'm going to spot you $25,000 each, so cover all your expenses, so you have no reason to go. You got your flight, I got your hotel. How many of you truthfully would figure out how to do that? Because it's an outcome. And we're leaving here in 60 minutes. You don't have time to go home pack. You got 25 G's, you'll buy a Speedo for the beach. Maybe some of you shouldn't. Maybe some of you should. But you see where I'm going with that. See, an outcome is you can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it. Hopefully you're not the Speedo. Again, the jokes don't get much better, so you guys can laugh. But you see where I'm going with that. When you can hit these markers, now you see why we can accelerate people's results. We're clear, we're focused, we're executing. And look, outcomes matter. You know, Gary's actually my age, believe it or not. The Avengers, those are some of my favorite people. That's us on the Great White Shark Dive. That's us on Success Magazine. The give part, that's us renovating the veteran shelter here in the Twin Cities, right? We're a big supporter of America and veterans. I've got a son that's a Marine, a son that's in the Army. That's me as a bodybuilder. That's me with Vicente Fox, former president of Mexico. My wife Jen and I are feeding thousands, with Dave's help, thousands of kids a day in Mexico. That's me and my cute face actually unloading the truck. My friend Eric Golden started putting some, hey, we're going to build a personal development company for children. So we launched that. Why not? My son Tyler from Unless, my daughter Rose, they're replanting the coral in the Caribbean Ocean. You buy one of their products, they actually replant a coral on your behalf. Why not? That's David Mash. That's one of the guys we named after the mountains in the Himalayas. Because why name that after yourself, right? I got the significance of climbing a mountain that no human had ever climbed. We named it after David because he's got stage 4 cancer, he's got ALS, he's paralyzed from the neck down, and he's given his entire life to serving others. Wow. Doesn't that sound like a person you should name a mountain after? Yes. There's the other gal, Hannah's Peak. So Hannah was born without any fingers. 3 years ago in Minnesota, she won the Athena Award for the best female athlete. I mean, look at that stripe. Look at the stripes on her arms. I mean, aren't those the kind of people you should name a mountain after if you're going to name a mountain? Yep. So, want to test your limits? This website is in your book. Vince, for the last time ever, is going to take out a summit team one more time this year. I'd highly recommend you do it. That guy with the huge beard in the middle, that's me. That's my son Tyler. And what's interesting is this is the summit team on the first summit. Only my son Tyler, Vince, and I made it to the second summit. It's just crazy to think about all of the people that helped us get there. But if you want to test your limits, look, it's literally as simple as defining your process, right? Defining your outcomes. And I can promise you this, when you do it, your life will never be the same again. So I want to thank you. I want to apologize the second time for going as fast as we do. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we become friends. I hope we can do some business together. And I hope I'll see you at the top. So have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.